What's going on, guys? Today, I just want to talk about 5 things that I feel every man in their 20s should be focused on, and ultimately, the top 5 things I will teach my son in the future. These are in no particular order. I believe all 5 are very important. So, to get right into it, the very first thing I would say every man in their 20s should know is that self improvement should be your highest priority. When I say self improvement should be your main focus, I'm talking every single day you should be doing something that'll make you better. Have that be going to the gym. If you can't go to the gym that day because it's closed, knock out 100 push ups. Don't have to be all consecutive. Do 10 sets of 10, 5 sets of 20. Just do something that'll make you better. And then, on top of doing something that'll make you better physically every day, you should be focused on becoming better mentally every day. Have that be reading a book, absorbing content on YouTube, whatever it is, something that'll make you better mentally, you should be doing every day. For me, I read 5 to 20 pages of a book every night before going to bed. Not only do I learn from the reading, but it also makes me tired and helps me fall asleep at night. The next thing that I believe every young man should understand is you always need to take responsibility when things go wrong in your life. I wish this is something that I actually learned sooner in life. I read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink when I was about 21, 22 years old, and it honestly changed my whole perspective on life. I understand now that if I'm leading a group of people in a project and we fail at the project, it's my fault. It's nobody else's on the team's fault. It's my fault because I was leading the group of people in completing the project. Taking responsibility goes for everything in life. If your girlfriend leaves you, you can sit there and reassess and understand why she left you and take responsibility and better yourself in that area going forward. If you're overweight and you want to get into shape, first of all, you need to take responsibility and understand that it is your fault that you are overweight and that you need to do better and get into shape. It is your responsibility to take responsibility and change those areas of your life that need changed. The next thing that I believe every man in their 20s should know is that you need to develop a firm handshake. You do not develop a firm handshake by squeezing somebody's hand as hard as you can. That's not what you do. You develop a firm handshake by introducing yourself to people and shaking hands. It's the repetition that develops your handshake. It's not squeezing somebody's hand. I remember the very first time that I felt a handshake where I instantly gained respect for somebody was one of the first girls that I ever dated. I went over to her house and her dad met me at the door. He introduced himself, I introduced myself, and he shook my hand. I think I gave him a very weak handshake and he probably thought a lot less of me. I was 18 years old at the time, but he gave me a handshake where I instantly just gained respect for him. I don't know how to explain this, but just from the handshake alone, I was able to gain respect for another man. Now, I'm not glazing this man, but this is something that every single one of you will go through at one point in your lives. Somebody will shake your hand in a way that you know that they mean business, and that is exactly how you want your handshake to feel to somebody else when you shake their hand. And lastly, if somebody comes to shake your hand when you are sitting down and they are standing above you with their hand out to shake your hand, get up first. Make yourself presentable to them, and then shake their hand and introduce yourself to them. Next up, I believe this is something that every single man should know, and it is quite honestly one of the first things I will ever teach my son. You always get the door for your lady. This is something that seems obvious, but I was never told this when I was younger. I was never taught this when I was younger either. And I see so many young men getting into their cars today, and they don't go get the door for their girlfriend that they're with. I will never forget when I realized this is something that I should be doing. I went and picked up a girl when we were in high school, as we were just going to hang out. We were going to go to a baseball game that was right around the corner. But I got to her house, I texted her I'm here, which again is something you shouldn't do. You should go up to the front door. But she told me to come up to the front door. I go up to the front door, I say hi to her dad, I introduce myself. He said have her back by like 8 o'clock or whatever. But she comes out the door. I go to my side of the car, she goes to her side, and she opens her own door. This is something that I never thought about in the time, but we had a great time together, and I dropped her off. She said bye, blah, 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 but she never talked to me again. I was reflecting as to, oh, I wonder what happened here. And the only thing that I could think of is her dad saw me not get the door for her, so he told her, hey, you're done talking to this guy. He has no manners. Now, obviously, I can be very wrong in my assessment of this situation, and she might have thought I was the ugliest dude ever or whatever, but for me, that is what I learned from that situation, to always get the door for your girlfriend, or even not your girlfriend. If you go anywhere with a girl, you always go and get the door for her. Now, the last thing I believe every young man should know, and honestly, this is something that I just learned recently, but it is ask yourself what you can do for God instead of asking God what he can do for you. And I know this takes a lot of resemblance to JFK's quote of, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I believe I heard George Janko, of all people, say this quote, and it has stuck with me ever since I heard it. So take with that as you please, but those are the top 5 things I will teach my son in the future, and the top 5 things I believe all young men in their 20s should know. So I hope you guys can take something from this video. And also, if you have any rules that you want to teach your son later in life, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to read them. Overall, I hope you guys all have a great day, and enjoy the last couple seconds of me tearing it up in the chopper bin.
Counter spy plane up, they're blind. That's how it's done. Good job, team.